When Zion Williamson got drafted to the Pelicans in 2019, Anthony Davis was, at least officially, still a part of the franchise. However, he previously made a public statement about not wanting to re-sign with the team, so New Orleans made a trade for LA's young core: Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and 3 first-round picks. They hoped they would create an ultimate supercore made of young and talented players hungry for proving themselves. After all, Ball, Ingram, and Hart got literally pushed out of the way so LeBron could make another run at the title in Los Angeles. The trio of Lonzo, Ingram, and Zion seemed so promising. The New Orleans front office probably thought they'd be winning chips all over the place for the next 3 to 5 years. Unfortunately, destiny had other plans. Hello basketball fans, and welcome back to Hoop Vision. Today, we're talking about Zion's career and how, despite being just 23 years old, he's been talked about like one of the league's biggest failures in recent history. The biggest reason for that is the hype created around him even before he started playing college basketball. When it came to high school athletes, Zion had the most social media followers not just out of basketball players, but all American sports. The buzz surrounding him was similar to one LeBron was experiencing during his pre-draft days, but it's tough to compare his situation because there was no social media back then. It would be crazy how big of an impact high school LeBron James would have had if he had access to Instagram and other platforms. Maybe that's what helped LeBron deal with everything better than Zion did: the fact he couldn't read mean comments and hundreds sports analysts covering his every breath. Yes, you might say LeBron was everywhere back in the day, but when we really dissect things, everywhere in 2002 and 03 was just the TV and outdoor banners and billboards. There was no YouTube and no social media, so if you've missed the pregame show, that was it. Now, the sports gossiping is active 24/7, which may have played the part in Zion's inability to stay grounded. The media painted him as this basketball demigod who was capable of doing superhero moves on the court, and Zion paid the price for that. Yes, his career hasn't been what everyone's been expecting from him so far, but that's the point. The expectations were unreal for someone who entered the league at just 19 years old. At this moment, Zion is only 23 years old and has so much time ahead, but only if he makes the necessary changes, which leads us to the next part of the problem: weight issues. Zion was the promising basketball prodigy whose career has been marked all over by his bad diet habits. He was able to pull off amazing things during his college year with his incredible athleticism and skill on the court, but the clock was ticking even back then. Nobody's equipped to deal with such weight while moving like a guard. Sooner or later, everyone knew it would catch up to him. And that's exactly what we've been witnessing over the last couple of seasons. During his college days, Zion's natural talent was enough to carry him through. He could outmaneuver opponents effortlessly, scoring points and defending with unmatched tenacity. His physique made him look like he was the Hulk dribbling the basketball. However, as he transitioned from college to the professional league, his discipline, if he had any at all, disappeared. No longer under the watchful eye of his college coaches, showered by more money and fame than ever before, he indulged in unhealthy eating habits. Fast food, sugary snacks, and soda became staples of his diet, which at one point resulted in numerous photos of him looking more than the Big Show than Zion. At first, his declining performance was not a big deal since he was so early in his career. But now, after almost half a decade in the league, his lack of discipline is catching up with him and people are losing patience. He started experiencing frequent injuries. His stamina plummeted and his performance on the court suffered. Fans and coaches alike began to question what had happened to the once promising star and if he'll ever become what everyone thought he'd be. Despite the setbacks, Zion remains in denial, often attributing his struggles to other factors like team chemistry, a bad relationship with the Pelicans front office, etc. It probably won't be until he hits rock bottom, gets sidelined by a serious injury that requires extensive rehabilitation, or gets traded that he realizes the detrimental impact of his poor habits. If he's determined to turn his career around, Zion must seek the guidance of nutritionists and fitness experts. You actually don't have to be a scientist to know that a diet rich in lean proteins, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, while cutting out processed food, would do miracles for his body and career. If there was someone who could convince Zion that he should make a serious commitment to his health, he'd begin noticing significant improvements in his energy levels, recovery time, and overall performance, which would also make everyone in New Orleans more than happy. The worst thing is, Zion is probably too short-sighted about all the benefits of acquiring discipline. If he returned to the court with this new mentality, his transformation would be more than just physical. He could move with a renewed agility, his shots would probably be more accurate, and his defensive abilities unrecognizable. Every new game would be a chance to silence the doubters who had written him off. if he could only stay away from ice cream and burgers. Zion's injury history isn't that bad. but they could have been avoided if he wasn't behaving like a spoiled child. Even before the beginning of his first season, the Pelicans had to announce Zion was going to need a surgery for his torn meniscus, which delayed his debut and resulted in him playing only 24 games as a rookie. The first thing that comes to mind is that getting injured was out of his control, but is that really true? If we compare it with D Rose's injury from 2011 when he did that weird landing against the Sixers and destroyed his ACL, Zion didn't experience anything similar. His knee injury came from the progressive overload, having to constantly support the weight it wasn't supposed to. The responsibility for such things is only on Zion, as he can't be walking around overweight and expecting his body to be 100% ready. On a positive note, he made a full recovery after that season and went on to play 61 games and average amazing numbers. People went as far as comparing him to Shaq in terms of being productive in the paint. Speaking of Shaq, Charles Barkley made a comment that Zion looks like him and Shaq had a baby together. Everyone in the Inside and NBA studio died of laughter, but there was some truth in that remark. Zion should definitely start taking care of his looks, as years will start catching up with him and make him pay for his lack of discipline. Analysts and TV pundits such as Shannon Sharp have mentioned numerous times that he needs to get some kind of mentorship from someone like a Charles Barkley, who also had weight issues when he came into the league back in the 80s, but was more focused on training properly and dieting, so his advice would carry a lot of weight to Zion. No pun intended. But we don't know if that ship would have sailed if Zion hasn't sought some professional guidance from some ex-players by now, considering he's already 5 years into his career. Just for thought, imagine he had the aforementioned injury in his late 20s or early 30s. It wouldn't be nearly as easy to come back from that, so his quick recovery can be attributed to his youth and freshness, which won't last forever. Not long after his comeback season, he went on to suffer another big injury, this time being a foot fracture. The result was the 21-22 NBA season without Zion. Yes, that's right. He played 0 games after the year with stats like this: 27 points, 7.2 rebounds, 3.7 assists per game. All of that while shooting 61% from the field. That's crazy efficient. And just when the Pelicans thought the show was starting, Zion's body crumbled once again. The even worse part is that the injury was supposed to heal within 3 to 4 months, but Zion's body was just unable to recover at a normal pace. Some doctors' reports suggest he was under chronic inflammation due to his diet being full of sugar and highly processed foods, which ultimately led to him not recovering as planned. It's crazy to think that a multi-million-dollar deal and a potential championship team are being sabotaged by too many donuts and burgers. So far in his career, Zion has played a total of 161 games, which isn't even 2 full seasons. And even after all of that, the Pelicans offered him a $200 million extension, channeling some kind of optimism from God knows where. Since then, he's had hamstring problems, knee soreness, and more foot injuries, so it'll be interesting to see if their gamble pays off in years to come. However, the big upside New Orleans has is they've protected themselves in case Zion doesn't show up for a certain number of games per season, which he's already done, so they're eligible to waive him after the 2024 season and not guarantee the last 3 years of his deal. That's too much money to lose over donuts and gumbo, but hey, the man likes his food. This year, the Pelicans have played 58 games and Zion played in only 29 of them. His numbers are good, but the name of the game is consistency. He can't be having a great season and then disappear the year after. So far, he has 0 playoffs experience, and if the Pelicans make it this year, which seems more than likely as they're currently the 6th seed, he'll have to go against players who are miles ahead of him in terms of postseason court time. If the playoffs started today, they'd go against the Nuggets, so you decide how many games it would take Joker to wipe the floor with Zion and the rest of the crew. Even though he has disappointed everyone, we must not forget Zion was drafted to be the face of the franchise and lead the city to a championship, which doesn't seem like a possibility within the next couple of years. He could benefit with some more help besides Brandon Ingram, but first, he has to show the organization and the fans he's serious about improving. The biggest irony is that his main obstacle isn't lack of skills, but lack of character. If he could just envision how great his career and his life overall could be if he just sacrificed a little bit of pleasure, then we'd probably witness a whole new force in the Western Conference. That's it for today, dear friends. We hope you've enjoyed this video. Let us know in the comments below what you think of Zion's situation. If you can think of a solution for him, feel free to mention it below as well. Thank you for watching and growing this channel. Make sure you don't miss out on more NBA stories by hitting that subscribe button. See you in the next one.